we have 3 Chenin Blancs over here. The first one is a Chenin Blanc from Vouvrays in the Loire Valley in France. The second one is also a Chenin Blanc from Vouvrays, Loire Valley in France. But the first one is sec, means dry. The second one is Moelleux, means kind of sweet. And the last one is a Chenin Blanc from South Africa, from the Stellenbosch region in South Africa. Let's taste them. So all 3 wines, for the appearance, they are pale lemon. They look very similar. But let's smell the first Chenin Blanc of Vouvrays, the Loire Valley. The aroma is not that pronounced, but it's easy to detect the aromas. So I will say medium plus aroma intensity. And they are mainly those kind of red apple, very apple dominant fruit characteristics. And also this one has these kind of interesting waxy or lanolin or wet wool, those kind of aromas. Second, it's also a Vouvray, but this one the aroma intensity is more pronounced, so it's pronounced aroma intensity. And it still has apple aromas, but this time the apple aroma is not just fresh apple, it's more of the bruised apple or dried apple notes. And also it has these kind of wet wool, beeswax, lanolin, those kind of aromas. Smell the third one, the South African one. The aroma intensity is very pronounced, but the aromas are different. For the fruit, it still has this kind of red apple aroma. But more than red apple, it also has some peach, nectarine, or even mango-like, pineapple, melon-like tropical notes. On top of that, this one has some obvious yogurt, bread aromas from the east. And also it has some distinct vanilla aromas from the oak. Let's go back and taste the first dry Vouvray. It is a dry wine. The acidity is very high. It's again those kind of lots of salivating sensation after you taste it. Alcohol is medium. And for the body, it's kind of interesting. I want to say dry, but the flavor intensity is actually pretty strong. So I would say it's medium minus body. And the flavor intensity, as I just mentioned, is kind of stronger than the nose. So I say pronounced flavor intensity. And it's filled with this kind of apple flavors on the palate, and with some waxy lanolin, some wet stone mineral feeling. The finish is long. It's those kind of appley flavors, and those kind of wet wool flavors stays in the mouth for a long time. Then let's taste the middle one. It's still a Vouvray made from Chenin Blanc. Wow, this one I would say is medium sweet. It definitely has sugar in it. Medium sweet. Acidity is very high still. I'm salivating a lot. The alcohol is not that obvious, so I would push it towards a lower level. There are the sugar. All the sugar in this one means that some of the sugar haven't been converted to alcohol during fermentation, so low alcohol. Body, I almost want to say full because of the sugar, yet it has such high acidity. So I would say medium plus body. The flavor intensity is very strong, so it's pronounced. And the flavors are full of dried apple, even some dried peach, those kind of flavors. Honey. It's all from this kind of concentration of this kind of sweet flavors. And of course, it still has some lanolin and wet wool flavors. And the finish is equally very long. Lastly, let's taste the South African Chenin Blanc. It's a dry wine. Acid is still there, but not as high as the previous two. So I would say medium plus acidity. And also this one has higher warming sensation of alcohol. So the alcohol is high. The body, I would still say medium plus, but it's kind of different from the previous one, the sweet Chenin Blanc. This one is equally medium plus body, but the mouthfeel is different. The previous one is fuller body because of the sugar, but this one is fuller body because of the alcohol and the flavor concentration. It has pronounced flavor intensity and is filled with ripe apple, nectarine, peach, melon, almost pineapple, mango-like flavors. And also yogurt, cheese, bread, toast, and vanilla. And all these flavors are also staying in the mouth for a long time. Long finish. Let's talk about the grapes first. All of these are Chenin Blanc. Chenin Blanc to me always have this kind of fresh, high acidity, just like some of the other white grapes like Sauvignon Blanc, like Riesling. Their acidity tend to be higher. And Chenin Blanc also expresses this kind of very distinct apple fruit aromas and flavors. Other type of white wines can also express apple aromas, but Chenin Blanc is always predominated with those kind of apple notes. And then we talk about the vineyard, the growing conditions. For the climate of these wines, they are kind of different. The first two are from the same climate. It's from the Vouvrays region in the Loire Valley in North France, so it's cool climate. The third wine is from Stellenbosch in South Africa. It's warm climate. Some places it's moderate climate, but it's still much warmer than the Loire Valley wines. That is why, even though they are all Chenin Blanc, the first two have higher acidity, and the fruit aromas is those kind of apple, dried apple, fresh apple. It's rarely go into those kind of tropical fruit aromas. Whereas the third one from the Stellenbosch, South Africa, it shows some of the warmer climate, riper fruit, such as those kind of melon, peach, those kind of aromas. And of course, the alcohol of the first two, especially if you use wine number one, this is a dry wine, okay? The alcohol is medium. But the third wine that is also a dry wine, all the sugar got converted to alcohol. But the third Stellenbosch South African one is high alcohol because of the warmer climate. These three wines are also very interesting in terms of how the growers determine the harvest. I would say the special one is the middle one, the number two. It's a sweet wine, but also we tasted those kind of dried apple, dried peach, those kind of dried fruit aromas, flavors, which means that the first one and the third one, they are picked when the grape is healthy, is kind of ripe, but the middle one is overripe. Again, meaning those grapes were picked very late until it's almost kind of semi-raisined and kind of shriveled, and they lost some water in the grapes. That's why you can produce this kind of sweet wine by late picking decisions, and make it sweet and filled with those kind of dried fruit flavors. And lastly, winemaking. The first two wines are mostly about the fruit or some of the mineral sensations, but the third one has extra layers of some yeast, yogurt, bread, toast aromas. That is from the lees aging. And the third one has some distinct vanilla flavors and aromas, and that is from the new oak influence. So these three wines show so much different styles. They are made from the same grape, but the different styles are coming from different climate, different growing conditions, different decisions on grape picking, and different decisions in terms of winemaking. Cheers.